Very cold this morning. It's yeah, I think it's in the minuses today. So I'm well wrapped up, but it's still chilly. If you're a regular viewer, you'll know the story behind this Defender. I did pattern the top, going back probably 4 months ago, something like that, and was expecting to get on and make the top straight after, but there was an issue with the fabric. It was out of stock at the supplier, and it's been months before they got restocked. Now, I did get the fabric yesterday, so now I can start working on making the top. Now, I've already done the patterning. The regular viewers will have seen that video potentially. If you've not seen it, I'll put a link in the description. But because it's been so long, it's been months, what I'll do, I'll get the patterns out and I'll offer them up to the vehicle again, just to refresh my memory on where everything fits and how I'm going to make it. So that'll be the first job. Fingers are very cold this morning. Okay, I think I know where I'm at with these, just about. So I'll now take these to the bench, get the fabric out, and then start the cutting out. I'll talk you through what I'm actually doing, why I'm doing it. So if you want to make something like this, it doesn't have to be a Defender, but any kind of vehicle where it's got a top on a metal frame like this, you can kind of follow the steps, and you can make your own if you want to. Get through there now and start the cutting. So this is the long awaited fabric. And it isn't actually black. This is the underside of the fabric. So mohair comes in two types. It comes in whatever colour you buy on the top, which is in this case burgundy, so that will match the rest of the interior, but it has a backing on it, and the backing comes in either a black backing or a tan backing. Now I could get hold of the burgundy no problem with the tan backing, but getting hold of the black has been a bit of an issue, but it's now here. So if you don't know what mohair is, it's the same fabric they make convertible tops with, and it's a laminated fabric. So it's got the good side, which is the outside of the fabric. It has a rubber sandwiched core, and then it has the underside black. So it's like, it is effectively a sandwich. So you have fabric, rubber, fabric, and it's the rubber that does the waterproofing, not the fabric itself. As always, I do any writing that I need to do on the reverse side of the fabric. Very rarely do anything on the good side. The only time I will do anything on the good side, if it's got a pattern that I need to match up and I can't see the pattern from the reverse side, I will then mark up on the good side. So if you're ever buying fabric and you've got you can see it, a little tag, then that usually means there's a flaw in the fabric somewhere. So I need to now check what the flaw is. I think I found it. I think it's just some black marks here. So I need to make sure that they're not going to affect anything. So the first piece that I'm going to cut will be the biggest piece. So the biggest piece is the piece that goes right over the top on the rear part of the cover. So what I've done there is I've found where I want the centre of the pattern to be. So this is just half a pattern. So the pattern's going to need to be flipped over to give me the full size piece that I'm cutting. You'll understand in a minute. So I'm using tape to tape the pattern to the fabric. I don't want to put holes in it. It's supposed to be waterproof. And having holes in a waterproof fabric makes it no longer waterproof. Even though I'm going to stitch it, I know it sounds a little bit strange, but it's the way it is. Cutting at a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, that's 9mm. If you wonder why I work in inches, they're much easier to see on a ruler. So an 1/8 of an inch is much easier to see than 3mm. You probably wonder why I'm not measuring the seam allowance. Mainly because I've done so many, I know what 3/8 of an inch looks like. I'm usually pretty spot on. That is exactly 3/8 of an inch. And that's just from eyeballing it, not measuring it. So I'm going to add a little bit more to this front end. So I've drawn in the actual seam allowance, but I'm just going to add 3/4 of an inch to it, just to be on the safe side. I don't want to be short. This is quite a big piece of fabric to cut out and be short on it. So I'll now flip this pattern over. So that's the first piece drawn out. I'm going to cut that out straight away. You might think this is just a big rectangle, but it actually isn't. If I put my ruler like that, you can probably see here, we've come in on that line there. So I'll now cut this piece out. So this is the pattern for the side. So you can see it's been cut into 3 pieces, because here in this bit is where the window is going to go. This is just fabric and this is just fabric. Here where this black line is the bottom of the window, and here is the top of the window. Now with this pattern here, I'm just going to cut out this strip and this strip, and I'm going to add onto the end here, and it's going to have a zip on it because this window is going to be rollable, so we can roll it up. But what I don't want to do is attach a zip to the window fabric, so I'm going to put a strip of fabric up here on both sides, and that's where the zip's going to attach to. Now this piece here, and the same on the front piece, will be extended. So I'll extend it by the width of the ruler, and then that will be turned under and it will create a flap. So the zip will be under here, 2 inches away from here, and then the flap will hide the zip, if you understand what I mean. You'll see when I cut it out and I start sewing it together. So it's going to be the same on this part as well. I would like the flap to cover the window like that, so I'm going to add 1/2 inch to this pattern first. I'm going to mark on here the 1/2 inch point, and then when I come to sew these together, I will effectively sew them like that. Even though this will have the 1/2 inch attached, it will be the same length overall, but it'll be extended just 1/2 inch to here, and then it'll only be sewn at the, well, it'll only be sewn here along the top. So the whole window will be able to be rolled up to this point here. It'll have webbing straps so the window can be secured when it's rolled up. I'm going to extend the bottom of the pattern, so this is the end of the pattern, but what I need to do is the same, add 2 inches, so I'll use the width of the ruler, which is 2 inches wide, and I'll extend that, and that will then be turned under to create a nice edge. But I'll also make a flap up that goes underneath this part that has the fixings in. So the fixings are going to be hidden underneath the hem of the bottom part, if you understand what I mean. You'll see as I go along. I'll put this one to one side, I'll cut these 2 pieces out, and then I'll cut the tops and bottoms of these and the 2 end pieces as well. I'm gonna write on the pattern plus ½ inch plus R. So the ½ inch is added here, and the R is the width of the ruler. So effectively it'll be 2½ inches, but I'll only fold back the 2 inch part. And I'll do plus R there, and plus R there. Do the same with this pattern, plus half plus R. So again, this being the front of the cover, so that's going to have a hem as well, which will create a pocket, and I may put something a little bit rigid into this pocket just to give it some stability at this point where it meets the door. There's a channel that goes, this will go behind, so there's like a U channel in the side of the frame here, and this will tuck in behind that to create a weather seal effectively. So I'm going to put another line above this. So I've got 3 lines here. So the bottom line is my cut line, the middle line is the extra 2 inches that I've added on, and the top line here is the fold line. So this part here will get folded to that line. Where the pattern is going to go there like that. This one is plus R. This one is ½ inch plus R. And this is just a standard 3/8 seam allowance here. Side, front. Put window here. A T there, so that's the top. Put in my line where I'm folding to. And again, put in the line that I'm folding to. So this is for the driver's side. I need to do the same for the passenger side, but I'll cut out this piece first, which is the rear part of the side. So I've got the front part, the rear side, and then the centre part, which will be having the window in it. Plus standard seam allowance top there. So I'm going to cut these 2 pieces out. I'm going to use these 2 pieces as a pattern for the other 2 pieces, if you understand what I mean. So the one that I drew out over there for this piece here, off the opposite side of this piece here, is drawn not back to front, but the direction is the wrong way. So I'm going to redraw this one out with the direction the right way. I'll try and explain to you why in a minute. Try to imagine that this is the vehicle and this is the front part of the vehicle. Because of the width of the fabric and the fact that I've tried to make the top in one piece, instead of having the direction of the fabric going this way towards the front of the vehicle, which I would normally do, but because I can't, because the fabric's not wide enough for what I want, I'm having the direction running over the top like that. So the direction of the fabric will all run the same way. It will all run over like that, if you understand what I mean. So the direction of the fabric is the way it comes off the roll. So I always have the direction going the same way, that way. That will always be forward of the fabric. But I would normally have the direction of the patterns going that way as well, which makes life so much easier. But now, because I've had to make this slightly different and run the direction of the fabric over that way rather than that way, when I come to cut pieces like this, this is one piece and the direction is running this way. The piece that runs here has to run this way. So my forward, so this is forwards on the fabric, which is that way, which is the bottom of this piece. This piece I've cut the same way with the forward that way, but it shouldn't be that way. It should be the opposite way because I'm coming up, over and down. So the bottom of this piece here runs that way, but the bottom of the piece on the opposite side of the vehicle runs the opposite way, if you understand that. Some of you might, some of you might be a bit confused at this minute. Most fabrics have a direction. Some are quite obvious, like a velvet or something with a deep nap on the fabric will be quite obvious. You look at it one way, it'll look dark. You look at it the other way, it'll look lighter. If you run your hand along it, you'll see the nap change one way and change the other way. In fact, I'll get a piece of fabric that has a direction on it. Well, this fabric here has a definite nap to it. Not sure if you can see on camera how there's a shade change. Depends on which way I run my hand. That's probably a better way. There's a shade change. So that's darker, that's lighter. If I run my hand that way, it will go all dark. And then if I run my hand this way here, it'll go lighter. So that's the nap of the fabric. If you make a piece up and the nap is running the opposite way on one piece, it will be obvious, especially on a fabric like this. Mohair isn't as obvious, but some people have eagle eyes, and you can sometimes see it. Black not as much, but on a coloured fabric you can sometimes see the shade change. So I always try to make sure that every panel that I cut is running the same direction. So when one piece goes next to another piece, there will never be a shade change. It will always be the same. It's different when you come to things that are run at 90 degrees to each other. There's obviously going to be an issue, but you've got a break. You've got a natural corner, which then it's not quite as obvious. If a panel is next to each other, side by side like that, and one is running that way and one is running the opposite way, you will see the difference. It will be quite obvious on some fabrics anyway. Mohair not quite as much, but always better to be on the safe side. So this piece here that I've drawn out, that is now effectively scrap. Luckily it's a small piece. I'll just make sure there's no confusion about which piece is which. The piece that I've drawn out over there is the good piece, the piece that I want, and is running the correct way. This isn't. So I'll cut this out anyway and get rid of it. So I'll get on with cutting these two pieces out, and that will be the two ends. I'll then do the centre bit where the window goes and hope I don't get confused again. So I'm now going to cut out the pieces for around the window. Now, when it comes to these pieces, obviously I've got window fabric here. You probably can't see it because it's see-through. If I just get a piece of scrap. So if I was to sew this window fabric to the mohair as normal, I'll just sew it together. I'm going to use whatever threads on the machine at the minute. Not going to change yet. And I'll explain what I'm talking about here. So I've just sewn a little piece of window to the mohair, and this is how it would look from the outside, like that. But from the inside, it looks like that. Now, what I actually don't want is to have the good side of the fabric seen from inside the vehicle. I want it to all be black. So I've got a couple of options with this. Now, to avoid that being seen, I can cut some strips of mohair, sew them over the top. When I do the top stitching, I'll sew the mohair straight over the top of the window here, or straight over the top of this seam. So I've got kind of a backer on it, and then there'll be no burgundy shown. Now, I'm going to use black mohair for that. I have got some offcuts of black mohair, so it's black on black, so there's no chance of the burgundy being seen from underneath. So that's the trouble with having a coloured mohair with a different colour backing. Black on black is absolutely fine, we don't have an issue in the same kind of way, but obviously with having the burgundy on the back or having the burgundy on the face, and then from the inside you've got the burgundy showing, I don't want that. I could bind the edge and then sew it together, but then there's a chance of the binding showing through on the good side, which I don't want either. So the best option is to just put a piece of mohair along the back and sew that over the top, which is what I'm going to do. So these are the things you've got to think about when you make something like this. Just extra work, just to hide the burgundy, which is nice. You can probably measure these two pieces here. They are just rectangles at the end of the day. So now that I've cut out the parts for both sides, I still need to do the windows yet. I'm going to now cut out the back. So the back's very similar. It has a top piece. So that's the top piece. And then it has two rear pieces, so a rear right and a rear left. And then obviously the window area as well. So this just has a standard seam allowance all around, nothing added on. So that's all the pieces cut out for the rear part of the top. except the windows. I've not cut the windows out yet. I will do them later. I'll just show you what I've got. So I have one top piece for the back, one right hand side for the back, and one left hand side for the back. I have one piece for the bottom of the window, so the window will be going in here, so that's the bottom piece for it, in there like that. These two pieces here, so I've got one that goes on the end of the window here, and the zip gets attached to that, so that will go there. And then obviously one for this half as well, which will go there, like that. So that's how this piece will look. Clear glass in here, zip up each side here and here, and then the window will roll up. So that's all the pieces for the rear, and these are all the pieces for the side bits. So I've got the big piece, which is the top that goes all the way over the top, one front for the passenger side and one front for the driver's side, one piece for the top of the window, and the same on that side, one piece for the top of the window, one piece for the bottom of the window, and the same on the passenger side. We have one rear piece for the passenger side and one rear piece for the driver's side, and then the 4 strips for the edge of the window, which will have the zip on, so they'll go like that there, like that, and those are for that one. So that's all the pieces cut. What I need to do next is start doing some of the sewing. I need to sew all the folds over on the sides here, so these folds that go this way here, like that, they'll get sewn first, and so will this end. Same with this one, that'll get sewn next, and then I will sew the glass into here. So effectively I'll sew these onto the glass. So I'll do the top and the bottom first. They'll get sewn on first, so we'll have a top, a bottom with a clear glass in the middle, and then once I've done those, I'll put the sides on and we'll have a window frame effectively. Once I've got the window frame in place and I've done the 2 ends, I put the folds on the ends, I will get them into the correct position, because I need to make sure they're exactly the right size before I attach the zips. And I will attach the zip to here first, to this piece, and then the zip to this piece, and then I will mark on where the zip needs to be sewn onto this piece here, and hopefully it all goes well. Hope you learned something from that. If you did, give it the old thumbs up. Hope you subscribed. So if you want to see the next bit, which is all the sewing, then you'll have to tune into part 2. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again. Bye.